episode 7 coming next Christmas. Not this coming one, the next one. You guys all excited about that? How many of you are nervous thinking they're going to blow this thing? Honestly. Okay. And that's a fair assessment. Here's my thought. They spent $4.4 billion. That's not million, billion dollars to acquire this stuff. Lucas only gave it to them because he was convinced these were the people that could properly carry on his franchise based on his successful collaborations with the Star Wars days and the theme park rides. Now, remember, this also included Skywalker Sound, ILM, Lucas Arts, which has now been kaput, but we'll cover that in the gaming panel. We're still getting Star Wars games, just different story. This also includes all of the Lucas franchises, not just Star Wars. Indiana Jones, Willow, Tucker the Man in His Dream, let's not forget. You know, there are other options out there. And so they're not going to be goofing this up unless they had a very good reason for it. And you know, people say, well, why are you going to do that? Well, here's a prime example. There are rumors coming out that Han Solo's not long for this mortal coil. Meaning, Ford basically said, all right, you got me for one film. You heard about how the writer was moved off the project? Michael Arndt, who did the original screenplay, who I've heard has actually been pushed over to episode 8 right now, had a screenplay that was very heavy on new characters, light on the original. Abrams decided, no, we're bumping up the original characters. Harrison Ford's got a major part in the new film. New characters are minor, but will grow as the movies carry on. There's been some rumors that Han Solo's going to go down in a blaze of glory, which essentially will set the stage for it. I'll be honest, I was stunned beyond belief they got him back, because it had been no secret that he's never been very fond of the character, that he wanted him killed off in Return of the Jedi. And, you know, we'll see. We'll see how it plays out. But, you know, money also was a big factor, and I also have been told that part of the deal was that they had to at least put something in the works for a new Indiana Jones. Doesn't mean it's going to happen, but they all agreed that at a certain date they were going to get together and say, okay, this is where we are. And if Lucas is okay with it, Spielberg's okay with it, and Ford's okay with it, then they move forward. So all this talk about Robert Pattinson and all these other actors taking over the role, that's all just speculation right now. It's still got to go through Ford for at least one more film. But let it not be said, I know for a fact there's an Indiana Jones production office in place on the Disney lot. And that's all part of it. You didn't spend all this money to sit on an asset like that. And of course, they're going to be looking at what, you know, they're looking at 5, 10, 15, 20 years down the road. You know, for example, these films that are coming, they're all based on an outline by George Lucas. This is not all fresh material. This was all negotiated, you know, when they went to him months before the sale and it was all, you know, starting to go, obviously they wanted new films. And they went to George saying, George, you know, I know you had said this is it, the future's television. However, if there was another trilogy coming, where would you go with it? And he's like, oh, I got the notes right here. Here you go. So, yeah, don't for a minute think George, you know, hasn't thought this out. While he's not writing, directing, he's still consulting or producing, and you can bet anytime Abrams has a question, you can bet Lucas is going to be on the phone because, you know, I got to say I admire Abrams because it took a lot of guts to do this. As he said, I don't want to be the man who screwed up Star Wars. I grew up with Star Wars. He said, I did not grow up with Star Trek. It was very easy for him to go in and do that because he did not have a lifelong attachment. He turned him down multiple times because, as he said, I don't want to, I mean, think about it. What happens if the prequels are light years better than this new series? Yeah. And all of a sudden you go, wow, George really was a genius. What do you know? So keep that in mind. What do you guys think of the new casting so far? I'm curious to know what you think of the people that they've actually cast in the film so far. Yeah, interesting. But
there's actually a guy downstairs who has a booth. Mm-hmm. He worked on Pacific Rim, Transformers 1, 2, and 3, And he's actually one of the art designers for Star Wars Episode 7. And it's, you know, if you talk to him, he can show you some of the work, but he won't answer questions about any of the pictures he has.
Oh yeah, let me tell you this, the non-disclosures are like ironclad. You should see what the paperwork for the script. It's on this stuff that if you try to photocopy it, take a picture of it, all of that, a barcode pops up on it. So you don't see it if you look at it, but if you photograph it in any type of way or replicate it, and you can't get it out, people have tried to like Photoshop crop it so they'll know exactly where this script, where this picture, whatever came from. Because Abrams has told them, don't, you know, they said, Kathleen Kennedy right at the start said, we are going to be much more open on this than we were with any previous Star Wars films. They are not going to be as secretive about them. So you are going to get photos from the set, you are going to get things. That being said, they've been very clear, we're not going to give it away. We want you to have some kind of surprise and wonder when you go into the theater. So they've taken great pains to keep that out, but you know, in the day and age of the internet, how do you get around that? So we know about the new films, and there's three standalones going. They've recently announced them. Gareth Evans, who did Godzilla, is going to be directing the first standalone films that you'll see in 2016. 2016 is going to be episode, hold on, 15? Yeah. 2015 for episode 7, 2016 for the standalone film. Next year you get episode 8. They're going to do a 2-year turnaround between them instead of 3. Then you get the next standalone film, then episode 9, then the next standalone film, and then we'll see where the future of the franchise goes. Now, let me ask you this question. I've always felt that one of the great things about Star Wars was that there was only 3 films, that you had to wait 17 years for the prequels that we all wondered if we were ever going to see. In the span of the next 6 years, they're going to basically equal the entire cinematic output of Star Wars. Do you think that's going to take it away when there's a new Star Wars film every year, essentially for the next 6 years, rather than, you know, one film every 3 years? I have wondered what happens if one of these things comes out and it's a disaster. You know, is that going to... But then at the same time, I also say Disney's not known for disasters. Even you know, some of the things they've marketed badly, which this wouldn't be. I mean, they've got so much writing on it, I just can't believe that this is going to be anything other than great, because they've even pushed it back several months, but let's hope. Standalone films are rumored to be young Han Solo, Boba Fett, and possibly Yoda. One of the things that they're having a problem with the Boba Fett film, we've heard, is that, should it come to fruition, is how do you take Boba Fett and make him a sympathetic character to, quote, be the hero that you're rooting for without undermining the essence of the character as the ultimate bad guy, you know, an ultimate bad guy of the galaxy. They said this is a very tough thing. You know, he's the, quote, strong, silent type that you don't mess with, but now you have to have him carrying a film, being narrative, you have to have him interacting with other people, not just bang, you're dead, and that sort of thing. So, be interesting to see how they play that out.